Hello friends, we'll be discussing the concept of scope of economics, what is the progression of it and how exactly economics can cover a lot of subjects here. Now, when we talk about scope of economics, let's go to the reading part first and understand what exactly the concept has to deal with. The scope of the subject of economics is vast and ever expanding. It is no more a branch of knowledge that deals with only with the production and consumption. Now, economics as a scope, you can consider that it is vast and very expandable. It does not just cover the production and consumption right now, it covers a lot of different things. However, the basic thrust still remains on the using on the available resources efficiently with giving the maximum satisfaction all welfare to the people on a sustainable basis. Even though we do not consider production and consumption to be very important right now, but the crust or rather the basic core thinking still goes on how to utilize very little resources, how to go ahead with maximum efficiency on this. Utilizing very less resources, going on maximum efficiency is still the crux of economics here. Economics is being extensively used in assessments of impact of climate change in almost every industrial zone, environmental project, energy plants and investment in renewable resources like solar, wind, tidal, others, etc. As we know that we have very scarce resources with us, based on that, we are using the alternative resources that are made available to us by the nature itself and how exactly we can save a lot of energy, a lot of money and the resources which are very scarce right now. Using that approach itself, we are going ahead with the economic concept of it. Economics is also used for assessment of economic efficiency of space mission, analysis of socio-economic problems like expenditure on healthcare, eradication of poverty, management of government budget, taxation, investment in industrial production, etc. So, based on economic approach that we have, it is not just related to consumption, it is not just related to production, it is not just related to solar, wind or different kind of resource that can be used, but it is also related to the macro part of it, which goes ahead with the statistical data of how much poverty has been eradicated, how much is the investment in healthcare, how much we are talking about education, etc. All these things are related to economics now. Given this, we can list some of the major branches of economics as under. With all these things that we have discussed right now, we can speak about the major branches of economics. First being macro or microeconomics. This is considered to be the basic economics. Microeconomics may be defined as a branch of economics which studies the economic behavior of an individual unit, maybe a person, a particular household, or a particular firm. Now, major branches, the first part is microeconomics. This micro, as the word micro itself speaks for itself, that microeconomics is completely related to a single unit, a single firm, a single production house, a single specific reason, or some one simple concept is being utilized or analyzed over and over the period. This is known as microeconomics. Let's understand few more details on this. Next major part will be the macroeconomics. Macroeconomics may be defined as that branch of economic analysis which studies behavior of not one particular unit but all the units combined together. Macroeconomics study in aggregates, hence it is called as aggregative economics. On the other hand, apart from micro, we have macro, whereby we don't study one unit, we study all the units. Hence, it is known as economics for aggregates or aggregative economy, whereby all the firms, for example, if you're studying about Maruti Suzuki, that will be only related to that firm. But if you're studying about automobile sector wholly comes into macroeconomics. If you're studying about only Maruti Suzuki as a company, it will be a part of microeconomics. This is the difference that I'm trying to clarify here. Now, apart from these micro and macro, we have different economic branches as well. First one is international economics. As a country of the modern world, we are realizing the significance of trade and commerce with other countries. The role of international economics is getting more and more significant nowadays. We know that export and import is very important and very crucial for any country to be a superpower. Consider USA, it exports a lot of things, it imports very less things. Consider China, it's a major part whereby India is one of the country whereby most of the things are coming in from China. Most of the electronical equipments, most of the devices, everything is just coming in, flowing in from China. Exports are more. So as a country, we know that it is so important to export things so that we can deal into international trade. We can make a lot of money there. Hence, that economics is known as international economics. On the other hand, public finance is one more branch. The Great Depression of the 1930s led to realization of a role of a government in stabilizing the economic growth besides other objective like growth, redistribution of income, etc. Therefore, a full branch of economics known as public finance or fiscal economic has emerged to analyze the role of government in the economy. A government plays a major role in the economic development of the country. It completely depends on the policies, the budget the government makes. On that basis itself, economics, or rather the fiscal economic of that country can boom or can either go down completely. Hence, the concept of inflation, deflation are completely related to what policies we adopt, what are the things that we do in terms of the economic way of any specific country. Hence, that thing is known as political economics here. Now, the next one will be developmental economics or development economics. After the Second World War, many countries got freedom from the colonial rule. Their economics required different treatment for growth and redevelopment. This led to emergence of a new branch of economics known as development economics. Now, after the Second World War, a lot of countries got freedom from the colonial war. Now, after this was done, restructuring the whole country, imagine restructuring the whole country required a complete different branch, and hence this branch of developmental economics who did all the R&D came into question, came into picture. Now, imagine if your house is completely messed up, you would require some help to go ahead with the whole revamping of the whole situation of your house. Exactly the same way it has been done here. Now, based on all these things, we have different fields as well. Let's understand the next part apart from developmental economics. Health economics. A new realization has emerged from human development for economic growth. Therefore, branch like health economics are gaining momentum. Life expectancy of a human has increased from 40 years to 60 years and from 60 years to 95 years these days. Why? Because health is one of the most important aspect of any human. Today, we live in a world whereby possibly every other disease that is there, we have figured out a solution for it. We have figured out a cure for it. Take it from cancer, take it from any other disease that we have, which earlier wasn't curable at all. Now we have cure for all these things. Hence, the health factor of any specific individual and the expectancy of life of any individual has gone up to such a level that earlier people used to die at the age of 27. Earlier. Now, people live until 90s, people live until they cross a century or a decade. The longest, or probably we can say the oldest person we have in the world is aged at 117, who's still in Japan. That lady is known as Tanaki, and that specific person is still in Japan who has been living in this world since last 117 years. Expect, or rather see, earlier, we had 27 years as life expectancy. This lady has gone to 117 years. That's a tremendous development as a country and as a technological advancement in terms of health economics here. Next part will be environmental economics. Unchecked emphasis on economic growth without caring for natural resources and ecological balances. Now, economic growth is facing a new challenge from environmental side. Therefore, environmental economics has emerged as one of the major branch of economics considered significant importance for sustainable development. Now, with so much advancement, we know that we are causing a lot of damage to the natural factors, that is the climate. Climate is changing rapidly. We see that the North Pole is melting down completely, that is increasing the sea levels, and soon the whole world will be underwater if there is any catastrophe that has to happen. Now, with all these things, we understand that at any given point of time, we cannot survive this inevitable climate change that is happening right in front of our eyes. Not today, but maybe after 30 years, 40 years, 50 years down the line, we won't have Earth at all. Why? The reason being, there is a lot of possibility that the climate change can affect the country and can affect the world at a huge scale. Hence, we have environmental economics being a new branch that is emerging at a rapid speed to save the environmental, or rather to save the environmental damage because of the economic advancement using certain alternative methods. So Green India, Clean India is one of the slogan that we use daily, and somewhere we hear them on regular basis. Based on that, we understand and figure out how things are supposed to be done here. Now, urban and rural economics. Role of location is quite important for economic attainments. That's very true. Role of economics, or rather role of the local area. If you are, imagine, if you want to buy a car, would you buy a car for a specific purpose, or rather, let's take an example. If you want to build a house, or if you want a penthouse, would you buy a penthouse in a rural area, or would you buy a penthouse in a city like New York? That's correct. Your option would be New York. Why? Is because that life is happening. You won't go ahead and make certain changes. But if you want a vacation, you would of course go for the countryside here. Why? Is because that hustle and bustle isn't available in the rural area. Hence, you find peace there. You go and look for peace there, sanctity there, and that's where the rural area is more famous for. So there is also much of debate on urban-rural divide. Therefore, economics have realized that there should be a specific focus on urban areas and rural areas. Therefore, there is an expansion of branches like urban economics and rural economics. Similarly, regional economics is also being emphasized to meet the challenge of geographical inequalities. There are many other branches of economics that form scope of economics here as well. So there's a lot of debate that happens on urban and rural economics. Based on this, we go ahead and discuss more details on this part. So there is a lot of emphasis on rural economics these days. The reason, because apart from the earlier developed, or rather already developed urban areas, we need to develop the rural areas as well, so that they are also capable of handling, not to the extent what urban has been developed, but to start with the development so that they can also experience the life without hitting to the urban areas, or rather without causing claustrophobic situations in the urban areas by a lot of mass coming in and settling in down there. So with all this, we have completed the scope of economics and all different type of economics that we have in here. Thank you for watching this video.